Welcome everyone to Speaking of Europe's Plenary podcast, where me, Yves Lacroix, and
Lena, Tomalik.
are going to cover the European Parliament plenary meetings. Those are the meetings that happen in Strasbourg and where decision making is, eventually actually enshrined into law. We are going to every month we're going to cover 3 different topics from the agenda. This time we have the Sakharov Prize that was handed out. We have the Digital Markets Act and
The Me Too movement and the resolution against sexual harassment of women. This is all from the latest plenary session that took place in mid-December 2021.
yeah. If you want to know more, you can find we're gonna put the documents online. You can see them in the
Show notes.
in the show notes exactly. Yeah, let's begin. So the first topic on the agenda is the Sakharov Prize that was awarded in December, right, during the plenary meeting.
Yes.
What happened?
So, just in general, the Sakharov Prize is a prize that the European Parliament awards every year to people and organizations that stand up for human rights and fundamental freedoms. And this time it was awarded to the Russian opposition politician and journalist Alexei Navalny, who is currently imprisoned in Russia and has gotten the prize for his work uncovering corruption in Russia and around the Russian regime.
Yeah. So the European Parliament has decided to award him the prize for what he is doing in
Exactly.
Russia.
So
Yeah.
it's a committee by the EP president and political groups that decide together, and this decision was made in October last year.
Okay. And so how did it go? Because Navalny himself is in prison, right?
Yes, because he obviously couldn't be there. His daughter, Daria Navalnaya, attended the ceremony to take the prize, and she also talked a lot about her father's cause, his conditions in the labor camp that he's currently in, and made a very important point for how crucial it is that the European community recognizes not only the importance of Navalny and his movement in the democratic situation, effort for democratization in Russia, but also for his personal case of staying alive and in somewhat good condition in the labor camp.
Because the giving of a prize like this can be used kind of as a tool, right?
Yes.
By the EU. In what sense, should this prize make a difference for him?
Well, most importantly, I think it is a clear sign to Russia that Putin's behavior towards Navalny with an alleged poisoning and attempted murder last year is not acceptable to the EU and will not go unnoticed. So this is really a way of showing this publicly and standing up against the Russian regime.
It's like saying, hey, we still know what's
Yes,
going on.
exactly,
We're still,
exactly, and also giving credit to important people like Navalny in Russia to say you're not alone and we see you and we support your movement.
Yeah. Because so Navalny got the prize this time. Do you have any examples of people that won it previously?
Yes, so the prize has been awarded since 1988, and the famous Alexander Dubček got it in 1989 for his work and leading role in the Prague Spring. In 2013, Malala Yousafzai got the prize for her activism for children's education in Pakistan under Taliban rule, but the prize is also, as I said, awarded to organizations. So in 2005, Reporters Without Borders got the prize for their work in supporting journalists that face persecution and standing up for freedom of expression.
So the daughter of Navalny came to pick up the prize or to receive the prize. Then she also had a speech, didn't she?
Yes, in this speech, she obviously thanked the European Parliament for their work and for this award, but she also reminded the European community how important this prize is not only for her father but for the Russian democratic movement as a whole. She says the Russian people want to be part of Europe and the value system, and Putin is trying to make this impossible. So the recognition by the European community is really important for the democratic movement and Navalny in getting closer to Europe and feeling seen.
And has the Russian government responded to her comments?
Not that I know of, not directly to this award, but the European Parliament has been quite active in speaking about Navalny's cause, and they already issued resolutions in January and April 2021, where they also demanded, like now, the unconditional release of Alexei Navalny. And in response to this, Russia expressed dissent, not surprisingly, and also said the European Parliament was unjustifiably intervening in domestic measures, which maybe shows how important it is for the EU to keep doing this and keep putting pressure, because it obviously does not resonate well with Putin's regime, and ultimately this is what's going to bring change.
Yeah. Do you think this actually helps him, like awarding the prize, or does it make life more difficult?
I would say it definitely helps, and so say his political advisor and his daughter. They both said how important it is for Navalny personally to stay alive, even to have people and the media and organizations like the European Parliament speak about this topic and speak about Navalny, so that he stays in the minds of people and organizations, and that basically holds the Russian regime accountable and makes sure that they don't lay hands on him, although it's claimed that they have already pursued psychological torture on him.
Yeah.
So this clearly shows it's a very important prize and very important for upholding democracy all over the world. So I think we can be excited for what's to come in next year's laureate.
Yeah, let's see.
So one of the most important pieces of legislation that are going to be finalized this year is the Digital Markets Act. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, so the Digital Markets Act is it's a piece of legislation that's there to complement already existing EU competition law. That sounds very complicated, but it basically means it's supposed to make the internal market more fair. And this one especially focuses on big tech companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon, Twitter, a bunch of others as well. But the most important thing about this is the gatekeepers label. So what the EU has, or what European institutions have decided, is to give big companies that have a big responsibility the gatekeeper label. And if you have that label, there are special rules that apply to you.
Certain obligations as well, no?
Certain obligations, rules, yeah. The Commission calls them do's and don'ts.
So what are the rules like? What are the do's and don'ts? Maybe you can give an example.
Yeah, so the do's and don'ts are very technical, and I don't think anybody that is not in the industry will understand them very, very well. But one of the main don'ts is what I already gave as an example, with Google promoting its own services over those of others. So of course Google works with an algorithm. The search engine works with an algorithm based on how many clicks a specific website got. It will go higher up the ranking. Google was artificially putting their own services higher than those of other companies, even though they might have had way more clicks or more relevant search
searches.
Searches, yeah. And that's one of the main don'ts. And what basically is happening is the EU says, with this new Digital Markets Act, the EU says, listen, we know you are a very big company because Google, owns a lot. We all use it. There's only a few people that use different search engines or that don't use YouTube, or same for Facebook. Everybody's on it. Sometimes people leave, but still, it's an insanely big platform. And the EU says, guys, you are very big, and because you are very big, you have an immense amount of power. You can basically, if we don't set the rules, you can do whatever you want. So it's kind of recognizing that these companies have power and therefore also responsibility. Responsibility in what is shown and what we can find, but also in keeping the market fair.
And what happens if these companies don't comply with the rules?
If they don't comply with the rules, there's the basic logic that the EU, I think, very often uses, is fines based on how much money they make. Right now, there are some numbers hovering around, but still they are in the institutions that voted on this proposal are still in the Trilogue meetings. So based on what comes out of those meetings, the percentages might differ, but it's going to be based on the percentage of money that they make.
And it could be quite a significant amount of money. If I see correctly, it could be up to 10% of the company's total worldwide annual turnover, no? So it's a significant amount of money to keep the tech giants in check.
Yeah, that's true. One thing, though, about the Trilogue meetings, maybe it's important to talk about those.
What are the Trilogue meetings?
The Trilogue meetings are, so basically every institution that's supposed to vote about this already has voted about it, but they voted all generally in favor of the Digital Markets Act, but the documents differ on specific points. For example, the European Parliament voted to increase the threshold of money that a company needs to make before it can be labeled as a gatekeeper. The Commission had a lower threshold. So now there are three documents, and in the Trilogue meetings, those three institutions are going to talk to each other to find common ground. Basically, as soon as that's done, it becomes actual law, and that's what we said in the beginning, expected to happen this year. Yeah. But what's interesting as well, at least I think, is the amount of votes that the Digital Markets Act got. Usually, when you see a vote in the European Parliament, it's a coalition of liberal, left-wing. I'm not sure how to say, but it's like the main parties that always vote in favor of something, and then it's other parties that vote against. Yeah, so this law got 642 votes in favor, which is a lot of the 705 votes that there are in total.
In the European Parliament.
In the European Parliament, and we don't know the votes of the Council, of course, because they never say anything. But and there were 46 abstentions and only 9 votes against, which is quite a lot. And Andreas Schwab was the rapporteur of this regulation in the European Parliament, known as known as somebody who has been fighting, especially American big tech companies, for a long time. Never got like a lot of support from the European Parliament, but this time managed to make it happen.
Can you say anything about the few people that voted against the regulation? Any idea why?
Yeah, so the general consensus is that even the people that voted against are kind of still saying, there needs to be something. There needs to be something to regulate this stuff, to regulate these big companies. But they voted against a proposal based on details that are in it. So, for example, there's some amendments, adopted, and then they're like, okay, this specific part I don't like. I cannot vote for the whole thing anymore because this is a deal breaker for me. You could see that most votes against came from non-aligned members of the European Parliament, so not aligned to a political party. There were 2 votes against from the left, and a couple of votes against from ECR and so the Conservatives and Identity and Democracy Group, the right-wing parties. But the consensus is that they were either not happy with how far it goes, so they would say it needs to go further, especially the ones on the left. There needs to be more regulations, while the other ones probably said, no, this goes a bit too far. We would say yes if the scope was smaller, if the threshold was higher, I don't know. Yeah.
So you said the regulation is not finalized yet. What's going to happen now?
Yeah, so as we said before, the Trilogue meetings have started under the French presidency. So the Commission, the Council, and the Parliament are talking to each other now. And they're going to have to come up with a consensus. They're going to choose what the final document will look like, and then it's going to be enshrined into EU law.
Interesting stuff.
Interesting stuff, yeah. Okay, so then for our last topic on the agenda of the plenary meeting is
The Me Too movement, a new resolution, and the protection of women against sexual harassment in European institutions.
it sounds like a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's a topic that has been moving the European Parliament for years now. The Me Too movement, in which women raised their voice and said they were sexually harassed by men, has opened up a whole new conversation about how to appropriately behave in the workplace and the relation between female and male colleagues to each other. And this is an issue that it seems like is not foreign to European institutions either. The Green MEP Terry Reintke has very visibly stated the problems and issues that are present in the European Parliament still today of talking down women who report these types of cases. And she's saying it's incredibly important that we keep talking about it and put measures in place that prevent and deal with this issue appropriately.
So what actually happened at the plenary? The Parliament voted on something, right?
Yes, so there was a debate on harassment that took place in the plenary meeting, and Evelyn Reger, the chair of the Gender Equality and Women's Rights Committee in the European Parliament, had already prepared a draft resolution on Me Too and sexual harassment in European institutions. So this resolution was then voted on after a short debate with an overwhelming majority of 516 votes in favor of the resolution, 86 votes against, and 75 abstentions.
Yeah. And do you know why some people voted against?
Well, it's not entirely clear, but we can see because there have been resolutions in the past similar to this one, and I have to say most of the time it's men that don't recognize the importance of this problem and say...
Or don't recognize the problem
Exactly,
at all, right?
and say it's really a lot of just stupid accusations that are unfounded, even though it's obviously not the case. So really, I think what we should look at most here is the overwhelming majority that supported this proposal.
But so what was in the proposal?
So, of course, it condemns sexual harassment in the workplace publicly, also highlights how big of a topic harassment still is in European institutions, but also the private sector generally. And it proposes a number of measures to be taken in the European Parliament specifically to prevent and deal with harassment. So the main takeaways are anti-harassment training should become available in all official EU languages so that no one can really say they don't understand what's going on. And it should also become mandatory at the start of a mandate of a member or as early as possible. This should also go hand in hand with consequences if you don't participate in these trainings. Because as it has been shown, the European Commission has had similar training in place on a voluntary basis since 2004.
And how many people?
But only 25% of the members have so far participated, which is obviously way too low a number for a topic as important as this.
Yeah. So... okay, so the Parliament voted in favor of, of this training, basically this course. What is going to happen now?
So the Parliament services have been requested to work on implementing these measures proposed in this resolution, and there's also a call for EU institutions to work more closely together. Regarding this issue, so the resolution has also been forwarded to all the different European institutions and agencies in order to really get a dialogue going on how to work together and how to deal with this problem more appropriately.
Yeah.
It's been an ongoing topic for the last few years. I think in 2017 and 2019 there were resolutions about this.
Okay, so let's see if in 2 years we're going to have another resolution hoping to improve the situation.
Or if we have finally solved the topic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let us know if you enjoyed the episode. Also, let us know if you feel like we missed something or you know that something is coming up that we should cover, right? I think that's good. You can, if you liked it, share it on all the social media channels you have. We are on Spotify, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok even. So follow us there. And I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Speaking of Europe Plenary podcast.
Don't forget to check out our regular articles on speakingofeurope.com.